Welcome to 15 Minutes with a Captain. I am Captain Zakar, and today we are going to go over the modern wars in Israel. Let's get that in Romans 15 and verse 4. Let's read that.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
So the scriptures was written aforetime so that we can understand the past, the present, and the future of things going on and what is to come. The scriptures are written for us to learn from because the Bible is a prophetic book. Matter of fact, let's get that in Isaiah 46. I don't have it written down, but Isaiah 46 and verse 10 to show that the things written aforetime are written for us to learn of the past, the present, and the future. Let's read that.
Isaiah chapter 46 and verse 10. Declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done.
That's God doing that, declaring the things from ancient times, the things that were written aforetimes that are not yet done, which are coming, that are going to happen in the future. Read.
Saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure.
As it is written, it shall happen, because God is not a man that he should lie. Now let's go to Psalms 119 and verse 18. So how do we get to the point of understanding those things that were written aforetime for us to understand the past, the present, and the future? Let's read that.
Psalms chapter 119 verse 18. Open thou mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of thy law.
The first thing for you to understand the past, present, and future is God has to open up your eyes. God has to do that. There's no theology school that can do that. There's no pastor that can do that to make you see the spiritual things that are written in the Bible, the prophecies. God has to open up your eyes. And let's see how he'll do that. Psalms 19. Psalms 19, verse 7 and 8.
The book of Psalms, chapter 19 and verse 7. The law of the Lord is perfect.
The law of God is perfect. No matter what Christianity or your pastor tells you, a man-made religion, God says that his laws are perfect and he would never do away with perfection. Go ahead.
Converting the soul.
They'll change the soul. And once the soul is changed, go ahead.
The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart.
Here it goes.
The commandment of the Lord is pure.
The commandment of the Lord is pure. It's perfect. Read.
Enlightening the eyes.
It does what?
Enlightening the eyes.
It opens your eyes to behold wondrous things out of the law, like prophecy. So let's get some of those things that happened in the past that was written aforetime for us to learn from and understand why things are happening in present time. Deuteronomy 28, let's read verse 15, and we'll jump around in this.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day.
No matter what modern day pastors tell you, from the beginning of the inception of the nation of Israel, God has always commanded them to keep his commandments, not man-made religion. And what is the consequences of not keeping those commandments? Read on.
That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Curses would come upon the children of Israel if they did not keep the commandments. Let's read some of those curses. Jump up to verse 32.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
So your children would be given away. How would your children be given to another people? Let's read verse 41.
Verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters.
God just talked about them in verse 32. Your children given away. How?
But thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
Your children would be given away to another nation of people through slavery, captivity. Let's jump up to verse 68 now.
Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Egypt means slavery. Let's get that in Deuteronomy 5, verse 6, for the people that may not know that are watching this. What does Egypt mean to God? Because he said, I will send your kids back to slavery. Let's read.
Deuteronomy chapter 5 and verse 6. I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage.
Egypt is the house of bondage. Now go to Exodus chapter 1 and read verse 13. Let's see what type of bondage Israel was in Egypt. Let's read that.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage.
With what?
With hard bondage.
So when Israel heard Egypt, they thought of hard bondage. And where was that hard bondage at? Keep reading.
In mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field.
In the field. Just like the modern or the present day blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians served hard bondage in spiritual Egypt in the fields. Keep reading in that.
All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
So when God says back in Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, let's read it.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Into hard bondage, into slavery again. But this time,
with ships.
With ships. That's the transatlantic slave trade. That's the conquest of Americas in the 1400s. Read on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
So you won't go back to the physical landmass of Egypt, but you'll go to a spiritual Egypt that you would only get there by way of ship. Read on.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
Now, where was we sold? We were sold in the Americas. Go ahead.
For bondmen,
slave man,
and bond women,
and slave women. Go ahead.
And no man shall buy you.
No man would be able to redeem you out of that captivity. Nobody, not even the United Nations. We'll get that a little later. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 36 now, and let's read 17 through 19.
Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 17. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings.
That's sin, breaking of the commandments. Go ahead.
Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman.
Read.
Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land.
The fury of God is your kids being given away to another people through slavery. Them being put on slave ships and have to serve hard bondage for hundreds of years and centuries. Read on.
And for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen.
God said he scattered us. How did he scatter the Israelites? Through slavery on ships. Read on.
And they were dispersed through the countries. According to their way and according to their doings, I judged them.
God judged the Israelites and put them on slave ships and scattered them all over the earth. Let's get that in Luke chapter 21. Let's show that Christ even confirmed what was written by Moses and what was written by Ezekiel. Let's read it.
Luke chapter 21 and verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive,
slaves,
into all nations.
All scattered.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
So Christ even confirmed what Moses had written, that the ancient Israelites would be scattered into all nations as slaves. How do we know that the ancient Israelites are not in the land of Israel in present time and that there are wars there right now? Let's get that in Isaiah chapter 2. Let's read 1 through 4.
Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 1. The word that Isaiah the son of Amoz saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains.
Above all nations. Go ahead.
And shall be exalted above the hills. and all nations shall flow into it.
That's the Israelites because they're coming out of all nations. Go ahead.
And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem.
Now let's prove that that is talking about the Israelites coming out of all nations. Give me that in Jeremiah chapter 50, and let's read verse 5. Let's see if Jeremiah continued on with the prophecy of Isaiah and actually named the people that were scattered coming back to God. Let's read that, Jeremiah 50, verse 4 and 5.
Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 4. In those days and in that time, saith the Lord, the children of Israel shall come.
The children of who?
Of Israel shall come.
With who?
They and the children of Judah.
All 12 tribes would come. Where are they coming? Go ahead.
Together, going and weeping, they shall go and seek the Lord their God.
They are going to go and seek the Lord their God. Keep reading.
They shall ask the way to Zion.
They're going to do what?
Ask the way to Zion.
We just read that in Isaiah. Many people shall come. That's the Israelites out of all nations. Read on.
With their faces thitherward, saying, Come, and let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant.
What's that perpetual covenant? The law of God. We will keep the laws that you told us to in Deuteronomy. Read on.
That shall not be forgotten.
Now let's go back to Isaiah chapter 2, and let's read verse 3.
Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 3. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem.
Now let's read verse 4.
And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people.
Now that's how you know that verse 3 is speaking about Israel, and verse 4 is speaking about other nations coming to Israel. Go ahead.
And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks.
Why? Because now they will be in the position of servitude. Go ahead.
Nation shall not lift up sword against nation.
Nation shall not lift up sword, a weapon of war against another nation. Read.
Neither shall they learn war any more.
Neither shall they what?
Learn war any more.
If it's war in Israel right now, that means that the chosen people of God are not in it, like Jesus said in Luke chapter 21. Let's get some more on that. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 11. What else would happen once the true children of God are in the land? There would be no war for one, and let's see what else would happen. Read on.
Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 6.
Uh-huh.
The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb.
Now we know wolves don't lie down with lambs. They don't live together. Wolves eat lambs. Go ahead.
And the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them.
What does that mean? That the animals will go back to pre-Noah, where they only ate what? Herbs. Read on.
And the cow and the bear shall feed. Their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox.
Read on. The lion, that's what we said, that they would go back to pre-Noah, where they were only eating vegetation. They won't eat each other. They'll be in perfect peace. This is when the children of Israel, the chosen people, are in the land and there's no more war. Read on.
And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice' den.
Now here's the point, verse 9.
They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain.
Hamas will not do what? Read it again.
They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain.
Hamas won't shoot rockets at Israel when the children of Israel are there. Read on.
For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea.
That's it. So when the people of God that were sent on slave ships go back into the land, there will be no war in Israel anymore. So who is in the land that there is still war in the holy land of God if the people there are the ancient Israelites of old that was returned back to the land in 1948. Let's see what God has said in the past. Let's get that in Exodus chapter 17, verse 8, because Christ said that the Gentiles would be in the land when the ancient Israelites are scattered. So let's see what the name of those Gentiles are. Let's read that.
Exodus chapter 17 and verse 8. Then came Amalek.
Amalek, read on.
And fought with Israel in Rephidim.
In Rephidim. Now let's go to Genesis chapter 36. Let's read 8 through 12 so we can pinpoint what type of Gentile Amalek is. Read that.
Genesis chapter 36 and verse 8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom.
Esau is Edom. Let's jump down to verse 12.
Verse 12. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son. And she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Ada, Esau's wife.
So Amalek is a what? He is a descendant of Esau. He is a Gentile Edomite that is in the land, and there's war there as well. But why is it war? Why is it war? Go back to Exodus 17 and verse 8. Why is God having war with Amalek Edom? Verse 8.
Exodus chapter 17 and verse 8. Then came Amalek and fought with Israel.
So they fought with Israel, right? Read.
In Rephidim. And Moses said unto Joshua.
No, that's it. So jump up to verse 14. So we see that Amalek Edom fought with Israel. So jump up to verse 14 and let's see if God forgot about it and just said, let bygones be bygones. Let's see what God says. Read on.
Verse 14. And the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven.
How would he do that? How would God eventually fulfill that prophecy in the future? Read on.
And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Jehovah Nissi. For he hath said, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war.
Have what?
Have war.
Have war with who?
With Amalek.
With Amalek. Read.
From generation to generation.
From generation to generation, from the moment that they attacked the ancient Israelites in the wilderness, God said, I will never forgive them. They will always have war from generation to generation. Let's go to Ezekiel 37. So what will the land look like when the ancient Israelites, the chosen people of God that have been scattered, what would it look like when they return to the land? Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 24.
Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 24. And David my servant shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd.
That's Christ. Go ahead.
They shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them.
They will keep the laws of God. Are they keeping the laws of God in modern Israel now? Nope. Last time I checked, they had gay parades going through there, sodomite parades going through there, selling pork in the Holy Land. Those are not the statutes being practiced. Read on.
And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, even they and their children, and their children's children forever.
Forever. Go ahead.
And my servant David shall be their prince forever.
Read on.
Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them.
Hold on. God's going to make a what?
A covenant of peace with them.
When the ancient Israelites, the true Jews, are in the land, there will be peace. Read on.
It shall be an everlasting covenant with them.
How long is it going to be?
An everlasting covenant with them.
So there won't be a ceasefire. There won't be a Abraham Accords. There won't be a peace treaty. This will be an everlasting covenant from God that there will be peace in the Holy Land. Read on.
And I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forever.
So, go ahead, finish it out.
Forevermore.
So God said he will place them in the land, not United Nations, not America, not a president. God said he would place them there, and then his sanctuary would be amongst them. Let's finish it out with verse 27, 28.
My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their God, and they shall be my people.
Read on.
And the heathen shall know that I, the Lord, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore.
Now let's see when God's sanctuary is going to be there. Revelation chapter 21. Let's see when God's sanctuary will be back in Israel, or if it's going to be built by the hands of man. Let's see that. Revelation 21, and let's read verse 2.
Revelation chapter 21 and verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven.
It came down from who?
From God out of heaven.
It was not built by man. It came from God. There was no temple built by man's hands. It came from God out of heaven. Read on.
Prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
That's Israel. Now let's jump over to verse 22. So when the kingdom comes down, let's read verse 22.
Verse 22. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it. For the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof.
So when the true Israelites, the ancient Israelites, the chosen people of God, the Jews of God are back in the land, there will be peace and God will dwell among them.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.